I never thought I'd share this story publicly. Even now, months later, my hands shake when I talk about it. If you've ever hired someone online, a cleaner, a sitter, a stranger who steps into your home, this might change how you look at them forever. Because when the police searched my house, they found a hidden crawl space with a mattress, a camera tripod, and a small pile of children's toys. And they told me someone had been living there. The thing is, my house doesn't have a crawl space. I'm Renee, 33, single mom of a 5-year-old daughter named Maya. We live in a quiet part of Oregon, the kind of suburb where you hear sprinklers before traffic. I work remote tech support, long shifts that bleed into the evening, so finding help was a necessity, not a luxury. Daycare was full, and the babysitting apps were expensive. One night I scrolled through Craigslist, the old website, and found an ad that looked almost too neat. Her photo showed a soft-smiled woman in her 20s, brown hair, clean sweater, nothing flashy. I messaged her, half expecting a scam reply. She answered within minutes, polite, grammatically perfect, and oddly comforting. We met at a cafe downtown. Lena arrived early, ordered chamomile tea, and brought a folder of printed references. The first reference number I called was disconnected, but I brushed it off. She seemed normal, grounded. When she came over for the trial day, Maya instantly liked her. Within an hour, they were drawing chalk rainbows on the patio. That night, Maya told me, "Lena says she has a friend who watches me too." I laughed. "Maybe she means God, honey." Maya frowned. "No, he's under the stairs. Kids say weird things." I didn't think about it again. 2 weeks in, the house felt different. Subtle, like a draft that wasn't there before. My favorite mug disappeared, then reappeared on the top shelf. Snack bars vanished faster than I remembered eating them. One night, after putting Maya to bed, I heard the baby monitor crackle. Then a whisper. "She's asleep now." I froze. It sounded female, maybe Lena. But Lena had left hours earlier. I checked every room. Empty. The next morning, the monitor was unplugged, cord neatly coiled. I bought a cheap indoor camera, the kind you hide in a plant pot. If it was nothing, fine. If it was something, I'd know. That weekend I caught Lena doing bedtime routine, reading, tucking Maya in. Then, in the corner of the frame, a dark shape passed behind her. Not a shadow. A person. Lena turned, smiled at something out of frame, and whispered, "Don't worry. She's gone." I wanted to confront her immediately, but part of me doubted what I saw. Maybe reflection, glitch, anything. I moved the camera to the hallway and waited. Tuesday, 11 p.m. Rain hammered the roof. Through the monitor came soft humming, a lullaby I didn't recognize. Maya should have been asleep. I crept upstairs. The bedroom door stood open an inch. Lena's voice drifted out. Gentle, loving. "He likes you best, Maya. He says you can stay." I slammed the light switch. The room was empty. Maya lay sleeping, clutching her teddy bear. The window was open, curtains breathing inward. That night, I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, Lena texted, "I'm sorry. I can't continue. Something's wrong with that house." I called, panicked. She sounded shaken. Said she kept hearing breathing through the vents. Then she hung up. I didn't see her again. But the noises didn't stop. Maya began avoiding the playroom. When I asked why, she whispered, "He's mad because you don't believe." She started leaving food, crackers, juice boxes, beside the closet door. I opened it one evening and found all the snacks missing. No crumbs, no wrappers. Only the smell of damp earth. Behind a stack of boxes, I noticed a patch of drywall slightly darker than the rest. When I knocked, it sounded hollow. A contractor friend came to check. He tapped around, frowned, and said, "There's a void here, like an access cavity." We cut a small opening. Cold air spilled out, stale, metallic. Inside was a narrow crawl space lined with old insulation, and a mattress, and a tiny camera tripod pointed toward a vent that led straight into Maya's room. I felt my knees go weak. The police came within an hour. They found footprints, small but adult-sized, and a pile of trinkets. Hair ties, crayons, snack wrappers. Someone had been living in there. But that's when things got even stranger. While inspecting the space, an officer handed me a crumpled paper pulled from the debris. It was a printed Craigslist posting. My posting. Same title, same wording, but the date stamp said 2016, 2 years before I moved in. And the contact email wasn't mine. The officer asked if I'd ever heard of a previous tenant named Lena K. I shook my head. He said records showed someone by that name rented the property briefly and went missing soon after. I felt sick because I'd hired a Lena K. from Craigslist. After the police left, the house was silent again. But it didn't feel empty. It felt aware. They'd sealed the crawlspace opening with plywood, promising to come back for a deeper inspection once forensics cleared it. Still, that night, I swear I heard the wood flex, softly like something shifting behind it. For 3 nights straight, the baby monitor picked up faint sounds between 2 and 3 a.m., a rhythmic creak, then whispering. Each time I checked, Maya slept peacefully. Each time I told myself it was pipes, wind, imagination. On the 4th night, the monitor spoke again. A single word. Renee. I dropped my phone. The voice was not Lena's. It was lower, tired, drawn out, like air escaping lungs. When I played the clip back the next morning, the word was gone. Only static remained. Detective Hall returned that afternoon. He carried a thin folder and a look that told me he'd seen too much already. We ran background checks, he said. The Lena you hired, her ID was falsified. The photo you showed us, that image belongs to a woman who disappeared 9 years ago in Washington State. Same name, same smile. I remember whispering, "Then who was in my house?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked if anything unusual had happened since their last visit. When I mentioned the whisper, his jaw tightened. He told me quietly, "Keep your daughter somewhere else tonight." I packed 2 bags and drove to a roadside motel. Maya thought it was a vacation. She bounced on the bed while I sat staring at the ceiling, wondering how far ordinary life had drifted from reality. At 1:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion alert from the living room camera. I shouldn't have opened it. But of course I did. The feed showed my living room, empty, lights off. Then the camera shifted slightly, as if something brushed past it. A pale outline moved across the screen. It paused beneath the stairway vent, the one leading to the sealed crawlspace, and lifted a hand. By morning, I convinced myself it was a glitch. The rational part of the brain is powerful. It needs logic to keep breathing. We returned home in daylight, the safest illusion there is. Everything looked normal. No sign of forced entry. No strange footprints. The plywood seal remained untouched. Still, I called a contractor to reseal it permanently with metal screws. He joked, "You sure you don't have raccoons?" I smiled weakly. I wish it were raccoons. Weeks passed. Life began to feel ordinary again. I even listed the house for sale. Too many bad memories. A young couple toured it and fell in love instantly. They offered above asking price. When they moved in, I felt relief. Maybe closure. Until the wife called me 3 nights later. Her voice shook. "Ms. Renee, you didn't tell us about the man in the basement." I asked what she meant. She said her husband had gone down to check the fuse box and found muddy footprints leading up to the vent. Fresh ones. Detective Hall contacted me again. They reopened the case. This time they tore down part of the drywall and found a second cavity behind the first, a narrow tunnel connecting to an older section of the foundation. Inside, they recovered a torn hoodie, a phone battery, and a spiral notebook. The pages were damp but legible. Most were filled with lists, food, dates, observations of daily routines, and sketches of Maya. On the last page, "She listens better when I sing through the vent." Forensics couldn't trace fingerprints. Everything was smeared, decayed. But here's what makes no sense. The dust layers inside that tunnel dated decades older than the house itself. When the county historian checked old blueprints, he found something chilling. Our property sat on the remains of a boarding house that burned down in 1978. Only one casualty was ever confirmed. A babysitter named Elena Kovac. Lena K. She'd been looking after 2 children that night when the fire broke out. Their bodies were never recovered. 2 nights later, after moving into our new apartment, Maya woke crying. She said, "Mommy, Lena says thank you for letting her go." I asked, "What do you mean, honey?" Maya rubbed her eyes. She said she was cold, but now she found her kids again. I didn't know what to say. I just held her until she fell back asleep. The next morning she seemed lighter, like a fever had broken, and for the first time in weeks, the air felt clean. Months passed. We built a quieter life. Different town, different job, different everything. But sometimes when I'm alone at night and hear the house settling, I catch that same rhythm. A soft creak. Pause. Creak. Like footsteps pacing just behind the walls. And part of me wonders if Lena was ever really gone, or if something older simply borrowed her face to finish what began decades ago. If you're still listening right now, ask yourself, would you notice the signs? The missing food, the whisper through the vents, the draft that wasn't there yesterday? Maybe check your own attic tonight, just once, because sometimes the thing watching over your child isn't watching for you. If stories like this keep you up at night, you're not alone. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next true case that blurs the line between the living and the lost. And tell me in the comments, would you ever trust a stranger from the internet again?